James's greedy deed. The engines on the island of Sodor are happiest when the sun is shining. During the summer, the sun can often shine too much, making it difficult for the grass to grow and plants to thrive. This summer, it was hotter and drier than ever, placing the island in a terrible drought. Sir Topham Hatt had placed a strict limit on the amount of water engines could take on the water columns. This made work very difficult, and while the engines knew it was for the best, some lost patience. But none more so than James the Red Engine. One day, James was shunting in the yard, pushing and pulling trucks into place. It was a very warm day, and James was feeling hot and bothered, and the trucks were being especially troublesome.
Look! James's face is as red as his boiler. Either he's embarrassed at shunting us so poorly, or he's about to burn up.
Shut up!
But the trucks were right. James was about to burn up. When he was finished, he hurried to the water column for a nice long drink. But his driver could only give him so much.
I'm still thirsty.
I'm sorry, old boy, but that's all for now.
This made James very cross. He grumbled dreadfully for the rest of the day.
How can I work in the heat without more water?
The other engines were tired of hearing James complain and ignored him. James simply sulked and went unhappily to sleep. The next day, James returned to his shelter. He looked longingly over to the water column. Then, James had an idea. The yard was built on a slight incline, which meant that the truck's brakes had to be hard on if they were not being shunted. If the trucks were in the right place and began to roll, it would make for a perfect distraction. James told his plan to the trucks.
When I go over to the water column, I'll give you a whistle. I want you to let off your brakes and roll away. This will catch my driver off guard, and while he's not looking, I'll be able to have more water.
The trucks, always eager to cause mischief, agreed. After a while, James asked his driver for a drink.
Very well, James, but only a little. Remember what the fat controller said.
James winked at the trucks as he went over to the water column. As the water started flowing into James's tanks, he gave a sharp toot on his whistle, and the trucks released their brakes, rolling down the hill and making an awful racket. The crash had the desired effect. The noise made James's driver jump. James savored the few extra drops of water, but what he hadn't realized was that the noise had also made James's fireman jump, who was still in the cab. Fireman, in his fright, had accidentally let off the brake and had fallen from the footplate. James started rolling backwards like the trucks had. Only James wasn't heading for a siding. He was heading for the main line.
Oh no!
The points leading into the yard were against James. He hit them with a loud clunk and came off the rails, sticking out in harm's way on the approaching line.
That's torn it. There's no way that we'll be able to get you back on the line right now. You'll just have to stay there for a while.
James felt very silly indeed. Then they heard something that made their hearts sink. In the distance came the whistle of Henry the Greenwood, who was bellowing straight toward them.
Get out of the way!
But James couldn't move. Henry screeched on his brakes as he swung around the point, but his buffers caught James's tender, sending cinders and ashes and coal flying everywhere. Luckily, no one was hurt, but James's tender was smashed to bits. Soon James was taken to the works. Waiting there for him was Topham Hatt.
I tolerate much, James, but I will not tolerate greed. We must all make sacrifices, even if it means that we go without something that we need.
Yes, sir.
It'll be a long time before you can come home. If I were you, I would take this time to think long and hard about how your stunt nearly cost you more than a drink of water.
This was a sobering thought for the Red Engine. After Sir Topham had left, James decided it was time to consider what his priorities truly were.